What's up, YouTube? We're back here doing a reaction to Mason Lane's World Shoot Day 1 walkthrough. So, this is a video of him talking about the stages. If you don't know, Mason Lane is the current production world champion. So, kind of a big deal, right? Really big deal. Anyway, incredible shooting by Mason. And then again, he just won limited at USPSA Nationals. So, and that was just a couple weeks ago. So Mason's been on a tear 2025, and I have been watching his videos because he puts a lot of his videos up, and he even talks through like like his matches, what he struggled with, what he was looking at, the theory behind a lot of the stuff that he does. Anyway, they're incredible videos, so I can't remember if I've watched this one or not, but we're going to watch it together and just see what we can learn, right? That'll be my takeaway. I think the shooting sport, a lot of it is you're going to play to your strengths, right? You're going to do what you're good at, and I think you'll hear Mason talk about that a little bit probably. So just because, something that Mason did or something he does doesn't mean it's something everybody should do. Just because I do things a certain way doesn't mean you should do them a certain way. Uh, but we're going to watch and see what we can learn. Mason's an incredible shooter, and I'm really thankful for these videos. So let's watch this and let's see. Let's just check it out. Let's react, man. Let's see what we got. There we go. Mason Lane. I think he has a little verbal intro here. So we'll listen to that, and I'll just pause it here and there, and we'll see how she goes, if this will load, right? Yeah. Here we go.
What's up? I'm excited to bring you guys the IPSC World Shoot Breakdown video. I'm most likely going to release these as day by day, so each competition day I'll release as an individual video, 6 stages at a time, so that I can go into the level of detail I think is important for these. This first stage we started in section 5, which this section was probably the hardest of the match, and this is a weekend stage that we're beginning on here. So you'll see some pretty careful shooting.
Yeah, so zone 5 was the zone that we ended the match on. We shot it 1 through 5. So we ended on 5, but they started on 5.
In all reality, these two targets in the back behind that wall are a solid 20 yards away. So this is a survival stage in the truest sense.
For sure. And like you said, this is a weekend stage. So some of the most difficult targets of the match are weekend. Just freaking ridiculous. Here we go. Let's see. Oh wait, I missed something. Let's watch that again. Let's watch his pickup. Just a quick pickup. Makeup back there. Through an extra.
Fancy there.
Yeah.
Extra, you see that the first shot of this target in the back went out wide. And I had a delta, I believe, on this target right here, which I called. I knew it was on the target, so I left it alone. But imperfect, but, no strategic real options there. It's just your score kind of is what it is. Either you have the skills or you don't on a stage that's that straight up.
Yeah. So that was very much a survival stage, right? Just like he said. And, he took some extra shots, just making sure they were there. Weekend at distance, it's tough shooting. I don't think it really matters who you are. There's not a ton of people that are going to be just incredible at it. So if you have a clean stage, you'd be pretty happy with it. Here we go.
Surprise, surprise. This stage ends up being actually the worst stage of the match, and it's not going to look like much from this perspective. But basically, off camera left, there's 2 paper and 3 poppers, and then basically I'll transition to do a step transition to shoot some stuff in the middle, run all the way over to this position and split this again. So I got these targets behind the wall and then these partials and a few others. You might notice the actual pacing of the shooting is pretty aggressive here.
Yeah, so like you said just there, the pacing is aggressive. This was definitely a stage that enticed you to be aggressive, but then it had these pretty difficult partials out here. So you saw a lot of people trying to rip on it. These steel that he's talking about over here on the left, they're very close. And you want to rip through it, and then you want to shoot across, and you want to finish this one fast. But these targets back here are a bit problematic for doing that.
I was extremely stressed at this point, and my perception of time was not very reliable. Of course, and if I had it to do over again, I would be willing to see way more detail than I actually need to in order to be successful in targets like this, right? Because if I attach the vision, a specific sight picture, if you will, to the target in order to hit the acceptable hit area, then I can see something consistently and act on it even under immense pressure. But I did not feel like I was going fast here, even though I objectively was, and this ended up being my worst stage of the match after a couple penalties in those partials.
Yeah, you almost cannot trust what speed you feel like you're going. Just like he said, depending on like the nerves and the stage, like just your whole perception of the passage of time can be not dependable, undependable. Yeah.
6 shots on 2 partials is nothing to write home about, or maybe you should write home about it just to so you can start crying into your beer a little bit there. That was very bad, and so trying to shake this off going into the next stages. You'll see more careful shooting going forward through the rest of the day. This was the large course for the day. My goal was just to, again, like attach sight pictures to every single target and be willing to be slow. Don't specifically shoot slow, but be...
It's interesting that he uses the verbiage attach sight pictures to specific targets. So it's like he's pre-programming what he wants that sight picture to look like, which is fascinating.
Willing to shoot slower than it feels like I should. I ended up still with a couple too many Charlies, mostly based on vision errors. You can see on this stage, like there's shadow that goes basically 3/4 of the way down the bay. And it's not an excuse, but it is a partial explanation. With iron sights, when you get wacky lighting conditions like that, it's very, very difficult to get your vision to do what you want and to see the level of sight confirmation that you want to, which I do believe that complicated a lot of the dropped points, the vision fundamentals, because nothing about the pacing makes me think that I should be dropping a whole lot of points.
Yeah, it can also like when the lighting is weird with iron sights, it can almost make the sights like fool you. Like what you're seeing isn't what they're doing. It's like they'll cast like internal shadows and whatnot, and like what looks like a perfectly aligned sight isn't. It can be really weird. So definitely a thing. The lighting can be a thing.
So draw, whack this popper.
Nice.
You see, I can see this target from all the way over here. A lot of people charged all the way deep into this position and then cut right. I try to shave a little bit of motion by taking this target from a touch farther. And you can see, almost forgot that reload there. I like to see basically this sight break off and the hand immediately leaves the gun to initiate this load. And still being extremely stressed from the possibility of throwing away a world shoot on the stage prior. I'm not necessarily, quote unquote, thinking clearly, not necessarily remembering my plan the best. So I almost...
That's wild to me that even someone at Mason's level, which is like up there in the GOAT level, right? Like Mason's an incredible shooter. He's gonna be remembered in this sport for a long time. But even at his level and his understanding and his experience in this game, and knowing there's 30 stages, and he's on his third stage here. After the second stage, he's feeling like, potentially threw this match away. Per his own words there.
Being extremely stressed from the possibility of throwing away a world shoot on the stage prior.
Second stage.
Not necessarily, quote unquote, thinking clearly, not necessarily remembering my plan the best. So I almost forget this load for a tenth of a second, and you can see at this phase, This target is ready for me, and I'm not ready for it. So I lost a solid 3/4 of a second right here, just forgetting my plan essentially, and not being on the ball. This part's all good. You can imagine my stress aiming at a target like this. You see I way over transition it. The gun comes past and then circles back around to really refine to make sure I see the sight picture for that partial. I'm not going to do
Yeah.
that again.
That's cool footage, right? To see that sight drift all the way to the right and then come back over. That's cool to see. But yeah, he was saying you can imagine my stress level, right? Because of those two partials from the previous stage. So he's having a little bit of PTSD and he realizes it here.
Reload to here. Did not like.
I saw a lot of people come in on that steal, which I thought was weird. So, maybe that was just the dot guys, but Mason did not come in on the steal. I didn't either.
Reload to here. Did not like what I saw on that target. I think I pitched a shot right on the second shot, so I had to pick up there. Very, very.
Very interesting way to shoot that back end. Or is it? Let's watch it one more time.
Right. Did not like what I saw on that target. I think I pitched a shot right on the second shot, so I had to pick up there.
Yeah, so he used that really wide transition. He used it to soak up a step to get over so that he can see this partial, right? So he like transitioned and stepped at the same time to get over, swing out wide, and then come back in.
Very, very careful shooting on the partial. So again,
Yeah.
dropped a lot of raw points on this one, mostly due to the division fundamentals, but the overall execution was also kind of mid. I mean, it was not really particularly fast, not particularly precise, but I survived it, which at this point in the match feels good after having a disaster in the stage prior.
Man, that's just you'll hear a lot of phenomenal shooters just be like, oh, it was not good, it was mid, it was, yeah, just like very unimpressed with their own shooting. Yeah, it's fascinating. I think that will always be the case, though. I mean, like, some people are very impressed with their own shooting, but I feel like kind of the curse of wanting to be better, of being competitive, is just kind of always realizing, always kind of being in this place where you're not as good as you want to be. And so you're always like, I'm just not, this wasn't that good. Yeah.
A lot of debate about how to handle this stage. I ended up trying to opt. Basically, you can see I have bobbers that come up and down on these two black plates, and they're activated respectively left and right. So my plan was to go activator, partial, activator, and then left, right on these two bobbers. This tripped me up several times throughout the match, though. What ends up happening is I miss this right-hand popper and hit this little metal shelter that's intended to prevent the frag from going all over the place. And it makes a sound and really trips me up. So you can see I leave that target behind and then have to go back and pick it up, which cost me a bunch of time. And ultimately, this was a very poor score as well. You know, it's a fortunate thing that this is a very...
Yeah, this is one of those stages where like it's clean and cut, right? It's left popper, partial, right popper, left bobber, right bobber, and like so many people shot it that way. So many people's scores were like right there with each other. So a fumble or any like variation from like that plan is going to be pretty costly. So yeah, it's almost a survival stage in a different way. It's not like don't screw up, but it's like you need to get the plan right. Like the shooting isn't difficult. It's not difficult shooting, but the pressure comes from, but if you don't hit it right, you're going to be severely behind the curve.
Small stage with not a lot of points on the line, so this doesn't hurt my overall match placement very much, of course, but that it is detrimental to have, you know, even a half second of issues, let alone 3/4 of a second like you're about to see. So I end up all out of sequence there, just because, you know, the timing on the activators is completely ruined at that point, and you can actually see that hit on the shelter right there on the edge of the black. That's where my round hit, and I heard it and thought that I was good to go and moved on. Which that is not the way to call shots when it's critical that you get the hit in the moment.
Yeah, critical is a good way of putting it. Um, yeah, and then it's tough to understand what would have been the best approach, right? When you're in the heat of a stage like that. Like you'll see him shoot, right? He shoots here, and then he comes and he shoots here. He misses here. He transitions over, but he doesn't shoot because he sees that this didn't go down. So then this one disappears. He shoots it, or he comes back over and this one's disappearing, right? And then he has to wait. Let's watch it again. Here we go.
Quarters of a second, like you're about to see.
Yeah, right there. See, instead of just waiting here, shooting it, then hitting that, then going here and waiting for this one, he goes over here, he's ready to shoot it. It's there, it's coming up, and he leaves it. And he goes to shoot the popper again. And by the time he comes back, it's disappearing. And then he has to wait for one of them to come up again, which it looks like he's shooting this one. Yeah. And then he shoots this one, right? So he waited for this one, and then he goes back over and this one's disappearing again. And he has to wait for that third time for it to come back up. So hindsight is like it doesn't freaking matter. Like your brain is scrambled on something like that, so it's tough to know what to do at all. But hindsight, I would have, if I had missed I would have shot here, left popper, partial, missed, come over here, just shot this one, then shot this one, then gone here and waited for this one.
So I end up all out of sequence there, just because the timing on the activators is completely ruined at that point, and you can actually see that hit on the shelter right there on the edge of the black. That's where my round hit, and I heard it and thought that I was good to go and moved on. Which that is not the way to call shots when it's critical that you get the hit in the moment. And this was the first stage where I started to really feel like myself. My focuses here was, again, just be disciplined and attaching the sight picture to the medium difficulty shooting. Be certain to call shots based on seeing something, not just feeling something where it's appropriate. And then focus on moving as fast and aggressive as I possibly could. And at this point in the match, just in general, my nerves are starting to get a little bit more under control. I've messed up several stages this morning. I know I'm like...
Yeah, I bet he's feeling not great at this point, right? Not great.
My dreams of being a hero and leading from the front through the whole match are completely dashed. So I'm starting to calm down and do a little bit better.
Right, there's something to be said for shooting from like the underdog position. It feels way better to shoot from the underdog position. Way less pressure. You feel like you can be way more aggressive. There's just a different mindset when you feel like I've already lost it, so I kind of get to shoot free now.
Good hit there. And I believe I had 2 Charlie on one of these targets in the back here, and otherwise it was all alphas. So that was what I'd call a good run. Definitely room for improvement there. Room to gamble with some shots of the move on the way into this position. You can see I weighted and refined quite a bit on the way into this. Like I'm aiming at this from here with several steps yet to go and not firing. In spite of that, I still ended up with 2 Charlies. So I look at that like a wasted time opportunity. Like, hey, if you're going to eat 2 Cs, do it with a movement option. Don't like wait, aim, and then still shoot shitty. Like that's the worst of both worlds. This stage...
Something I like about at PSC is the 3-2-1 format, right? Three smalls, 2 mediums, 1 large. And I think it just gives you opportunity to get back on track. Like if you've had some poor stages, you have more short, simple stages to be like, okay, 10 rounds, 12 rounds, whatever. It's a lot easier to put together like a crispy run on something that's a lot smaller with a lot less moving parts. So that's something I like about IPSC. Here we go.
It ended up going okay. This is a medium, not technically a large course. There's only one per day, but there's a lot of rounds at stake on this stage. Again, I'm starting to feel pretty good about the shooting, and this is definitely a relatively low difficulty stage.
It's just interesting that he says he's feeling good about the shooting, right? And it just took that one stage. It just took that one short course to make him start feeling like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. Let's do this. Because the stage before that was the hand stage, which was not good.
Only caveat being the swinger sequence due to the lighting conditions, which we'll talk about when we get down there.
Yeah, you can see the sun.
This part all plays pretty normal. Draw, address right, whack, 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 whack. Trying to make big steps right there to make as much progress as I can while moving.
Mason's got long legs, so he can cover some ground.
Reload right here. And the scene that you're seeing at the moment was predicted to me by my teammate Casey Reed. He said when he got back there, the dust from these targets on the right side of the bay that was blowing down and made it extremely difficult to see the swinger. In this frame right here, you can't even see where the swinger's at.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to kind of take my word for the fact that the swinger is here on this black bar.
That's wild.
Top only. And definitely this affected
Look at that
my
cloud.
ability to keep my vision where I wanted, to not just stare at the sight. So I have a pickup shot or two here from what I remember. Oh, yeah, actually.
And now the cloud's shifting over there, right? Now the cloud's moving right over in front of the swinger.
You can hear I hit the stupid little metal house again on this, and you can hear that clang. Yep. So again, just challenging lighting conditions, making things difficult is absolutely not an excuse, but shooting iron sights, taking an inventory over the sun conditions and the shade conditions is
That's a good way to put it. Just taking inventory, right? It's just another piece of the game. It's not an excuse. It's just these are the conditions. These are the things to pay attention to. This is what could happen. What am I going to do if that does happen? You're just, like you said, you're taking inventory of all the variables.
Huge part of doping out a stage and making sure the performance, you're going to be able to perform in the manner that you expect to. It's not like a dot where just like, you know, some smoke is slightly annoying, but you just wait for it and do what you need to do. Like with these conditions, it can completely change your ability to aim and shoot the gun if you have bad lighting.
Yep.
So anticipating problems like this is important. I knew this was coming, and it still caused me to have an extra shot on that plate right there, which is suboptimal.
Pretty awesome. Anyway, that's it. That's it for the video tonight, guys. Mason, thanks for publishing that. I'm gonna go through the other ones too, just because it's such good stuff. So check it out, give it a like, sub to the podcast channel, and see y'all next time.